Endless Ocean is a series I was not familiar with until I met my fiance who was really into it. I had watched her play it once, but never got to play it myself. However, with the new game coming out on Switch, I decided now was the best time to delve into my partner's interests and experience Endless Ocean for the first time. Endless Ocean is a super laid-back game about exploring the ocean and all of the fish that are in it. There's some kind of plot, but not really anything significant. You'll get missions to complete from a maritime academy, but the game really stresses to you that you can ignore them if you want and just do whatever. The missions themselves are fairly well varied at first, having you do anything from mapping out a certain area to guiding a guest who wants to dive with you. It can certainly get repetitive by the end, but thankfully you can just start to ignore them if you want, with no penalty. The biggest thing that I had feelings about was the controls. They were a lot different than I was expecting, but I felt that they were super intuitive. Instead of using the D-pad or the nunchuck like I was expecting, it instead used motion controls. But not quite in the way you would expect. Instead, you have a pointer that you move around, like Super Mario Galaxy style, that when you push it to one side of the screen, you move your diver in that direction. It took me a second to get used to it, but it ended up being super fun to do after a time, and is one of the few times I thought motion controls felt natural in a Wii game. The one complaint I do have was the ability to click on fish. To interact with them, you need to hover the pointer on them and press A. This was easy enough to do with the slower moving ones, but was a lot harder to do with the faster moving fish, and got a little frustrating at times. On the topic of touching the fish, it made me so incredibly happy that the main way to get familiar with the fish is to pet it, by waving the cursor over it and holding down A. It's basically guaranteed that if your game has something I can pet, or a petting mechanic at all, I'm going to instantly love every single moment of it. You can also boop the fish, which was equally as enjoyable as the petting mechanic. Overall, I think for the time and the limitations, the extent of fish models was fairly impressive, and there's so much to explore if you really want to put the time into it. It's actually fairly surprising, as I expected this to have far less content than it actually did for a Wii game of its time. I think if you haven't already played this game, you should at least give it a shot. I really wanted to also play Blue World, the sequel, but I couldn't find a reasonably priced copy in time for this video. Maybe someday in a future video I can review that one as well. Going into this, I really wasn't expecting this to be my kind of game, as I generally like a little more to do in my gameplay loop, but by the end, I found myself getting super relaxed and into it. I think I will pick up Luminous when it comes out on Switch later this week. What did you think of Endless Ocean? Have you played it? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe while you're down there. Thanks for watching!